Okay, this is going to be the first day one, unit one for Algebra 1. We're going to cover a couple different concepts here. First thing I want to talk about, something that you should know, is the concept of Pemdas. All right, which the P stands for parentheses. The E stands for exponents. The M stands for multiply. The D stands for divide. The A stands for add. And the S for subtract. Okay? Now, you actually see these kind of questions on social media about whether people really understand PEMDAS. And what sometimes we teach as teachers is this is the order it follows. Okay? But the reality is, it really follows this. Okay, so we say, which terms, what do you mean by that? If once you get down to this choice of multiplication or division, you do whatever is first, left to right. The same thing if you have addition and subtraction. First, left to right. So the common question people do, just to give you an idea, this oftentimes causes people to make mistakes. Okay? All right? What do you do first here? If I'm following PEMDAS, it says do this multiplication. But really, what I should do first is this. 20 divided by 2, which is 10. Then 10 times 10 would be 100. That is the correct answer. What some people will do, if they follow this multiplication, they'll do 20 times 10, which would be 20. 20 divided by 20 would be 1, not 100. So that's an example, okay? Now, I'd like you to go ahead and copy down these examples, all right? So go ahead and copy these down. Okay, copy that one down. And copy that one down. Okay, now, if I was applying order of operations, okay, so if you haven't copied that down, you can pause your video and copy it down, and then when you're ready, go ahead and start. What I would do first is I would do this parenthesis here, okay? So what I would have is 18 minus, all right, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 divided by 2. Now, if I'm following order of operations, my choices are subtraction or division. But in PEMDAS, division comes before that, so I would do 8 divided by 2, which would be 4. And now I would do 18 minus 4, which would be 14. Okay? On this one, I would do the exponent here, squared. Okay? 2 squared. Okay? All right? You can use your calculator. All right? 2 squared. All right? So if you're using the Casio, you hit menu, brings you here, and then I would select execute, 2, then this thing is the exponent, 4, 2. So I have 4, right? So 64 divided by 2 plus 4 minus 6. Now, in PEMDAS, division beats out these, so I would end up dividing this, okay? 64 divided by 2 would be 32. We don't need that. Let me get an eraser so we don't get confused. All right. Plus 4 minus 6. Now, since we have a choice of addition and subtraction, I'm going to do this one first, which would give me 36 minus 6 would give me 30. Okay? All right, so now I'm going to give you guys 2 to do on your own. Okay, so I would like you to do these 2 questions. Okay, I would like you to do that one. And now, so pause your video and go ahead and work on that. Okay? So what would I do first here? I got to handle these parentheses. So 3 plus 1 would be 4. And then I got a bunch of addition, subtraction. Now, how do I handle this? Because these are all tied, I work left to right. So I would do this first, which would be 106 minus 4 plus 4. Then I would do this one, which would be 102. And then I would just add it and give me 106. Okay? All right, this one, I would do the exponents first. Actually, I'd do the parentheses, all right, which would give me 8. Then I would do, the next thing would be exponents, which would be this one. Okay, so 8 to the 2nd power, 8 exponent 2, 64. Okay, now, I'm in a choice. I got division, multiplication. That's a tie, so left to right. I would handle this first, which would be 8. 8 times 2 would be 16. Okay? All right. All right, going on to the next thing. Okay? Go ahead and write, I'm going to show you these 2 examples. Okay, go ahead and copy these 2 examples down. All right, now, order of operations, we want to follow it, but when you get these fractions, you should pretend like this and this are separate problems to begin with. So what I would do is I would handle, all right, 6 squared, which would be 36, minus the square root of 4. So I can figure out, the way you get the square root is if you hit shift and square root of 4 is 2. All right, so that result gave me 34, and that's the top part. This I'm going to handle, this would be the first thing I would do. 6 divided by 2, which would be 3, and then add 3 would give me 11, okay? And then what I want to do is this fraction here, I just want to divide this, 34 divided by 11. 3.09. Sometimes the answers end up being decimals, okay? All right, this one, all right, so I'm going to say, Mr. Evans, what's this mean? This means absolute value, which absolute value we're going to treat like a parenthesis, okay? Now, so what I would do is inside that parentheses is 2 minus 9, okay? So it's -7. Now what absolute value does, okay, when it's all done, all numbers are positive. All numbers are positive. All right. So instead of having negative 7 there, I would have 7 plus 5 for the top. Here I'm going to do the exponents first. So 3 squared, 3 to the second, is 9. 9 times 4 minus 2. So in this choice, I would do this first, which would be 36 minus 2. All right, so we got 36 minus 2. So the top part would be 12. The bottom part would be 34. If I divide 12 divided by 34, I get 0.35. And you can just write that as a decimal, okay? All right, let me give you guys 2 to do. Okay. Let's go 60 minus 12. Let's do times. Let's do 40. Six, absolute value. Okay, so go ahead and pause your video. Okay, now, what I would do is I'm going to handle this I'm going to handle these individually, okay? So this would be 12 times that, which would be 48. So then I got 60 minus 48 up top, which would just end up being 12 up top, okay? Then for this, all right, what I would want to do, I would want to figure out what that is. So that'd be 80 minus the square root of 36, okay? Square root of 36, so shift, where that x squared is 36 is just 6, okay? So 80 minus 6 is 74, okay? 12 divided by 74 is 0.16, okay? All right, so here I got my absolute value, so I'm going to treat that top part like a parenthesis. 5 minus 20 is negative 15. The absolute value makes it positive, so positive 15 with a times 3 would give me 45 for the top, okay? Now this one, I would want to handle the parentheses first, so 16 minus 10 would be 6, okay? Now, what is this? So we got this going on. This means multiplication. So what I would want to do is 8 times 6, which is 48, divided by 8 would give me 6. So that would be 6 on the bottom. 45 divided by 6 gives me 7.5. Okay? All right, see what time I'm at here. All right. Now I just want to go into the last thing for today, which would be combining like terms. Okay? Combining like terms. All right, let's talk about a term for a second. Let's say I got 8A7. Okay? This right here is a variable. That's 11. The number out in front is called a coefficient. And this thing right here is called an exponent. Okay? All right? Now, let's say I had something like this. Okay? All right? This would be considered the constant. This would be considered a variable. All right? This is a great real-life example for 10, let's say $10 per hour. And that's how you can figure out wage. 10 times the number of hours you work gives you that amount. So combining like terms, coefficient, variable, exponent. Okay? Now, what you want to do with that, let's say if the answer said combine, or the question said combine like terms. All right, so let's say I would like you to write down these two examples. Let's say 20 h squared minus 5h minus 16h squared plus 40h. Okay? Go ahead and write down that example. Okay? All right? And go ahead and write down this example. And write down that example. Okay, when we combine like terms, okay, when we combine like terms, what we're looking for, same variables, same exponents. Okay, so I've got an h squared. So what I'm looking for, are there any other terms with just h squared? And that is this one. Okay? Now, when we combine like terms, all we're going to do is use the signs we see, and we do not change the exponents. Okay, so what I want to do is I am going to use the signs we see, okay, and I'm not going to change the exponents. Now, what do I mean by that? I see a positive 20 with a minus 16. So to combine them, I do positive 20 minus 16, okay? Notice, no double signs. And I get 4. Now that means I'm going to get 4, and I'm going to keep the h squared. I am not changing the exponent, okay? Now the next thing I have is h. Now somebody said, Mr. Evans, that doesn't have an exponent. If it doesn't have an exponent, that means it's a 1. Okay? So this one goes with this one, okay? So what I would do is I see a negative 5 for the first one and a positive 40 for the second one. If I do that, I get a positive 35, okay? And I keep the h. You can put first or not, but that would be my final answer, okay? And then this one, got to be careful. I've got an x squared and a y. So I don't have an exponent there. I'm just going to put a 1. This one right here doesn't have an exponent. I'm going to put a 1. This one doesn't have a number out front. I'm also going to put a 1. This one doesn't have 1. This y doesn't have 1. This x doesn't have 1. That will help us figure out. So what I'm looking for here is where is the other one that's got the x squared and the y1. Now this one has the x and y, but those are the wrong numbers. This one has the x squared and the y, so this would be my term I would combine. Okay, so how am I going to combine that? My coefficients out front, I'm going to have 8 and a plus 1, which would give me 9, x squared, y1. I don't change anything. Okay, now this one has an x1 and an x2. So if I look over here, here is the match, an x1 and a y2. So the way this is going to go into the calculator is negative 4 plus positive 9, which gives me a positive 5 result, so positive 5, x1, y2. Now someone would say, Mr. Evans, we got one left, this minus 3y1. If there's no matching term, that just drops down next to it. And that would be my final answer, okay? Now I'm going to give you guys 2 to do, and then we're going to be done with this lesson. All right. 40 h squared minus 4h minus 12h plus 60h squared. Okay. 18x squared y squared plus 5x squared y minus x y squared plus 12x squared y minus 4x squared y squared. Okay? So you guys go ahead and work on those. When you're done, unpause your video. Okay? So the like term here, I'm looking for the other h squared, which will be this one. So I would do 40 plus 60 gives me 100. I keep that h squared. Then I got this one, which is a negative 4h, and this one, which is, if you want to put the ones there to help you, you can. Now you got to be careful here. I want to type negative 4 and a minus 12. No double signs. Negative 16h. If you want to put the little 1 there, you can. Okay? And then let's go to this one. I got 18x squared y squared. All right, well, this one only has a 1. This one's a 1 with a 1. This one would be a 1. All right, the only one that matches is this one down here. Okay? So what I would do is 18 minus 4 is 14, so 14x squared y squared. All right, then I'm looking for the match of this. Okay, I got 5x squared, and then I got the other one would be this match right here. So I got 5 plus 12, which would be 17, x squared y1. Now the only one that doesn't have a match is this one, and that would just drop down right next to it as it is. Okay, so that's the first lesson in Algebra 1. Okay, the notes will be printed out for you and will be below.